Like any fan, I've missed motorsport. Thankfully, esports have kept me entertained in the run-up to the start of the 2020 season, as have motorsport games, which can now add Assetto Corsa Competizione to the growing list of this year's racing games. It's been out on PC for over a year now, too if you count the time it was in early access, but the official GT World Challenge game has finally arrived on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Other than the F1 games, it's not often we see games based solely on one specific racing class these days, especially not one as niche as this. However, this newest simulation proves that there's still plenty of variety and plenty of fun to be had in single championship races. Much like the Project Cars series, ACC is more of a sim than games like Gran Turismo or Forza Motorsport. This means that its handling is a lot more twitchy and difficult to master, but having more at stake means that it feels much more rewarding when you do get it right. This also means that this game isn't likely to appeal to a more casual market, because even with assists and tweaked handling via various sensitivity sliders, it's nowhere near the level of accessibility of other sim racers. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Not all racing sims are designed to appeal to a mass market. For enthusiasts though, it provides a robust and rewarding race experience, and assuming that was the developer's intended demographic, that is what matters. However, as much as the handling physics are realistic, they can also be problematic when played with a controller. Sensitivity is an issue, making it incredibly twitchy. This makes oversteering a little too common, even when you fiddled about with the controls. I often found myself having to correct slides that felt beyond my control, and when you lose control completely because of the oversensitive steering, it's like a gut punch, especially when you're a long way into an endurance race. It isn't game-breaking, but it does sometimes feel like they made the same mistakes that Slightly Mad Studios made with the first Project Cars in building a game entirely around steering wheels. It can almost feel like controllers were an afterthought. This also leads to some rather interesting driver animations too. In cockpit view and playing with a wheel, there's an almost stop motion look to the wheel turning animations, as if it can't match the wheel motion one-to-one like other racers. Worse, when played with a controller, it's like the animation is turned up to max speed, as the slightest push of the stick results in a full turn of the wheel. It certainly breaks any immersion, even going so far as to make me never want to play in cockpit view. This isn't a problem unique to the console version either. It hasn't been fixed in the PC version that's now 2 years old. It's bizarre. Problematic as these things can be, they don't stop this game from being a fantastic simulation of GT racing. Each race feels exciting and realistic, the AI fighting for every position on the grid. I have spent many laps trying to catch opponents, having to postpone overtake attempts because they're defending so well, and the eventual pass never failed to feel like a reward earned. Endurance racing is even more exciting as the sun goes down and the light fades. You need to rely on your knowledge of the track and keep your wits about you as the cold of night drops temperatures, making grip a more precious commodity. You may have to adjust your braking distances, and you'll certainly need to be more aware of those around you. Overtakes and defences are much more difficult and dangerous when darkness envelops the circuit. This level of realism pervades the entire game. Rain severely affects how you drive, and if you aren't careful, you'll be playing Rally Driver as you run wide and have to slide your way out of gravel traps. Or you could end your race altogether if you're really unlucky. This realism extends to tyre pressures, which, if too low, will mean that your race engineer will advise you to stay away from the curbs on corners. You really ought to listen to him too if you want your race to go smoothly. It's a shame then that smooth doesn't describe the frame rate. It isn't bad, seeming to stick roughly around the 30 FPS mark, but honestly it's disappointing that even on the Xbox One X it doesn't see some form of improvement. It does look good though, whatever resolution you play in. There is a wonderful amount of detail both on and off the track. The circuits were laser scanned for extreme accuracy, with every imperfection visible in the track's surfaces. Each car from the GT World Challenge is recreated with an astonishing level of detail inside and out. As a personal aside, I particularly like the passenger seat camera in replays, which shows off the interiors quite nicely. This attention to detail extends to the weather and the day-night cycle too, as you can even see the sun rising and falling, the shadows changing in size as overnight races push into and out of the dark. It's a nice touch, and this even happens during multiplayer races, though at an accelerated pace to match the shorter time limits. When you start your career, you are put into the junior program and put through a series of test drives at Monza. In your Lamborghini, you're tasked with driving laps around the Italian circuit to help you get a feeling for the handling and for the game to work out your level of skill. It starts you off on a dry track during the day, then throws you into the rain, and then again during the dark of night, all to give you a taste of what to expect during your time in a GT car. Depending on how you perform, the game will offer a difficulty setting that you can opt to accept or ignore before letting you choose your car for the coming season. Whether you choose to play through career mode or customize your experience through championships, single races of whatever length you desire, or online challenges, there is more than enough content here to keep you occupied for hours, weeks, or even months, proving that the single championship racer is still a viable option for developers to pursue. However you play Assetto Corsa Competizione, even with its sometimes problematic controller settings, you will find an excellent and rewarding simulation of GT racing, though perhaps one designed with very hardcore racers in mind. Hey, Adam from God is a Geek here. Thanks for watching our video review by Gary Bailey of a game with a name I'm not going to attempt to try and pronounce for a third time because I'm absolutely certain that I've been getting it wrong. Competizione, competition, right? Hey, well, there you go. And if you would like to subscribe to us, we'd really appreciate it, and especially hit that bell button. That helps our visibility as well. If you're so interested that you would like to be notified of a new video review, give us a thumbs up. Tell us what you think of the game. Have you been waiting for it? I know a lot of people have, and it's finally there. It's on consoles, and it's good according to Gary's review. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.